Thank you, Farhan. A couple of follow-ups. First, on the death of the UN ops staffer. Um, can we get some details on how many people were in these guest houses? Were they all UN employees? Were they international, national staffers? And any more details on what hit the guest houses? Was it a drone? Was it a missile?
We're still trying to identify what caused that explosion. It was clearly an explosion. We do not know whether it was fired from land, from the sea, from the air. That part is unclear. It is clear that it was an explosive ordnance that was either dropped or fired at the infrastructure and detonated inside the building. And there was some earlier confusion about whether this was some sort of unexploded ordnance. It's clear that it was not unexploded ordnance. The other points in terms of details that I could provide, the premises that were hit today had also been damaged yesterday in strikes. And so the location of the building had already been deconflicted with Israel Defense Forces, but yesterday there was damage to the premises, and that what was happening is that this accommodation, a UNOPS accommodation, was hit at about 11:30 a.m. local time today, while people were trying to examine the damage from the previous night's incident. And as far as I'm aware, a number of the casualties are very serious. I've confirmed one death, but there's at least one other person in very critical condition right now. Deshi.
A follow-up. When you read out this, and when I saw the statement from UN Ops, they didn't really specify or confirm who is behind this. Like, from which party? Is it IDF? Is it Hamas? So you have no information?
I think it is too soon to determine. Like I said, the information we have is that this was an explosive ordnance that was either dropped into the building or fired at the building. It was not a mine or anything like that. It was some form of ordnance being dropped or fired either by land, sea, or air.
So how?
We will need it will need to be further investigated in terms of being able to determine responsibility.
So if you're talking about responsibility, how would you expect there would be the accountability to hold in such a circumstance? You don't even know who did this.
I think that will be clearer as it is investigated. I mean, obviously there were people. There were people, including qualified people, who can investigate this further. But unfortunately, some of them are among the casualties. Some of them are injured, and others are trying to work with, with determining whether their colleagues will live. So there's a lot of confusion. But there are people who have this particular expertise, who are available once the problems of the last few hours are dealt with.
So sorry. So let me make it clear. So far, it's too early to say who did this, right?
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves about that.
Another question. Yesterday I asked you whether UN consider the ceasefire deal has been ended. Today, IDF started what they call limited ground operation in Gaza. What's the reaction from the Secretary General on the latest development?
The Secretary General has made it very clear, and you saw the statements he's put out on this, that he wants a return to the ceasefire.
Is that a violation of ceasefire deal?
Any conflict does not go in conformity with the cessation of hostilities. Gabriel.
Thank you, Farhan. Do you know when we can get the name of the person that was killed?
Unfortunately, the practice about this, where we unfortunately are too well versed in how this works, and the person's national government and the person's family members and next of kin will have to be informed. Later on, I assume that there will be some information provided. I also think if you're in touch with the UN Office for Project Services, they will probably provide information when they can.
Thanks, Farhan. And you said two UN guest houses. People might not know exactly what that is. Are those UN offices or are they homes, or can you explain it?
They're accommodations for people who are working, and in this case, people who are from outside coming into Gaza to do work.
And are those normally identified with the UN logo or a UN premises?
I believe so, but the basic point is that those sites were specifically deconflicted with the Israel Defense Forces.
And so just to clarify that, Israel has the GPS coordinates of all UN homes or offices in Gaza.
They have all of the information they need so that those sites are deconflicted, in other words, spared from any attack. Abdelhamid, and then we'll go to Volodymyr. And then Stefano.
The first question, Farhan, following your briefing, what happened in Gaza and what's happening in the West Bank, is there any other name to what happening than Israel is attempting to completely obliterate the Palestinian people as a whole?
That's the sort of analysis that I leave it to journalists to provide. That what we're doing is providing as many facts as we can. What's your other question?
My second question, in the statement issued by Ms. Gamba and Ms. Bleeker, they put it in the title, Alarm by Escalation of Violence in Gaza. Is that escalation of violence only? Violence? Is that what you call with Israeli attack with that massive power, and you call it violence?
Abdelhamid, with respect, you are free as a reporter to use whatever words you wish to use, just as the professional diplomats at the United Nations are free to use the words that they use.
Just a quick one, just to follow up on Gaza. So your assessment that this was an attack specifically and not an accident, correct?
I think it's early enough that I do not want to speculate on what the reasoning is for what happened. As it is right now, we're trying to make sure first we have the clear details about what it was that happened before we go on further to understand why it happened the way it did. I would also refer you to the fact that UNOPS has put out remarks on this, including by their executive director, and I would refer you to what he said. Amelie?
Yes, hi, Farhan. Sorry for my connection issues. I hope I didn't miss much. Just a follow up on Gaza. You mentioned one UNOPS dead and 5 injured, including 1 seriously injured. But there was reports earlier about the second person dead, not directly working as a UN staff. Do you confirm the second death?
I do not. Although the information I have has been somewhat upsetting. That person is still, for now, alive. Inshallah, I hope that person will continue to live. Although right now the situation has been very difficult in recent hours.